And through this process, through changes in the world, our relationship has become stronger and deeper. China and the United States started out being brought together by a common concern and a common adversary. Now we find ourselves in a totally different world. The economic system is in crisis. The center of gravity of international affairs has moved from the Atlantic to the Pacific. New problems have arisen that it can only be dealt with on a global basis. And in that context, the relationship of China and the United States is the central relationship in the world today. It is crucial for the United States and for China to work together on these common problems, to turn these challenges into common opportunities. And when we appear in forums like the G20, that we have an understanding of our common future. The strategic dialogue that was agreed to between the two presidents in April in London will make a historic contribution when both sides put into it the energy and vision and commitment to change that they represent. It's in this spirit that I accept this award with a feeling of great warmth and affection for the hospitality that has always been shown to me in China, for the many friends that I associate on both sides with this relationship, and above all, on behalf of the even greater future that lies ahead of us. Thank you very much.
I didn't lose the ring, so I passed the award to Dr. Kissinger. Before my colleague Cheng Li come back, I would like also at this time make one of my personal notes. 38 years ago, when the state radio announced the visit of Dr. Kissinger to China, I was working in a rural farm field. I never dreamed then that I would be here tonight to join in paying the tribute to one of the greatest architects of the friendship between U.S. and China. Cheng Li and I are examples mentioned by the Secretary Gary Locke. Hundreds of millions of people benefited from this relationship, and two of us represent among those peoples. So at the present time, I would also like to use the opportunity and we're honored to introduce our second Leadership Award winner, Dr. Zbigniew Brzezinski. Dr. Brzezinski was President Jimmy Carter's national security advisor. During his time at the White House, consolidating U.S. gain in opening to China was a major priority. Shortly after taking the office in 1977, President Carter reiterated the American commitment to the Shanghai Communique issue during the President Nixon's visit to China in 1972. Then on January 1st, 1979, the United States and the People's Republic of China formally established diplomatic relations. Vice Premier Deng Xiaoping made his memorable visit to the United States at that month. Embassies in Beijing and Washington were opened by March in 1979. And in August that year, Vice President Mondale visited China. All of this led to important bilateral agreements between China and the United States. So to balance today's introduction for the 2 hours, I will add the second person notes. And that's the same year my uncle returned from the United States to China and recommend for me to come to United States to continue my advanced studies. He is a hardcore children. He wastes no time try to educate me about American children football teams. So to balance my in the recent article in the Financial Times, Dr. Brzezinski wrote that the normalization of the relationship between China and the U.S. precipitated almost from the start security cooperation that has been the genius benefit both to the U.S. and China. The effect was to change the Cold War global chessboard to the disadvantage of the Soviet Union. Indirectly, the normalization facilitated Chairman Deng Xiaoping's decision to undertake a comprehensive economic reform. China's growth would have been much harder without the expansion in U.S. trade and financial relations that followed normalization. Dr. Brzezinski is now among the leading thinkers in the international relationship community who are advocating for even closer Sino-American relations through an informal G2 to jointly address the global challenges in a mutual interest. The group crew will change the world, he said. We should listen to this wise counsel because Dr. Brzezinski's sound judgment and artful diplomacy. The Sino-American relationship, despite ups and downs over the years, has endured and deepened. Our nation and our people are more secure and more prosperous as a result. And so are China and the East people. In gratitude for his outstanding service to the nation and in recognition of his leadership in advancing U.S. and China relations, the Committee 100 represents this leadership reward to Dr. Brzezinski.
members of the Committee of 100, Mr. Ambassador, distinguished guests. This is a moving and a very gratifying experience. It is moving because it is full of historical sentiment. It is gratifying because the evolution of the Chinese-American relationship over the last 30 or so years has been truly a story of a remarkable success. Earlier in the evening, our new member of cabinet of American-Chinese descent spoke very evocatively about the travails